Bale had said, they asked him, did you have concerns about entering another franchise? He said, that did cross my mind, but in the end it seemed like a very fun thing to do, and it seemed like a very good character and a good franchise to be involved with. So comes the inevitable question, Arnold, what's going on with the governor? Well, officially, there has been an Austrian bodybuilder cast in the film who has a passing resemblance to a young Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, as people pointed out, you can't have the 60-year-old Terminator, he's got to look younger. That being said, many people say Arnold's got to be there. It's like, almost like it's not sanctified unless he makes an appearance in it.
Well, if it's canon, the only necessity for Arnold's skin in the movies to be on is him going through time. He doesn't need skin if he's only there battling. It's just all the robots.
Exactly. So here's where it gets interesting. I did a little bit of checking on this. They were going to film the movie in Prague. Prague in Australia become big production places. Most of the financing for this film was European financing. Arnold, even though people say, you know, he doesn't know it, man's not stupid. He's a very sharp businessman. He went to the studio, he apparently had a little chat with them and said, I'll tell you what, with my schedule, it's very difficult for me. I can't just take off and, you know, shoot scenes and stuff like that. However, if you were to move the production to Los Angeles, it would certainly make it a lot easier to accommodate me coming and shooting a cameo for the film. Well, lo and behold, the production is in Los Angeles. Now, while officially nobody's saying yay or nay, what I'm hearing is somehow, some way, Arnold's going to make an appearance in these things if it is at all physically possible. And probably what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to keep it under wraps as much as possible and not tell a soul. And as the film unfolds, he'll come out at a strategic point for maybe like a quick but important scene. And so that's where they are with that one. So that's one to definitely keep an eye out for. And then we move to the big $165 million question, Star Trek XI, which was coming out this Christmas, and because of the writer's strike, Paramount decided to move it to next summer. Their thought behind it was that they had Iron Man and they had Indiana Jones this year. Both have made incredible box office and not even come out on DVD yet. So their thought is, with everyone scrambling to find films for next summer, we've got something in the can we think might work. Why don't we just hold off and do it? And then as they looked at it, they said, with what is scheduled for this Christmas, perhaps it has less competition next summer. J.J. Abrams of Lost is behind this, and I'm sure you've heard all the casting, you know, Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Winona Ryder, so on and so forth, Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead, all of them. Now, the word I have heard is that this film was given a $165 million budget, which is considerable considering the last Star Trek films were being cranked out for 50 to 70 million bucks because, and in fairness to Paramount, this has ponied up. They tell me that, no, I shouldn't say they, but people I know that are associated with, you know, various aspects of Trek have said, the fans talk a big game, but when it comes time to put their money down, buy the merchandise, show up at the conventions, and show up at the shows, they don't do it. Paramount got sick and tired of putting money into something for people who aren't going to back it up and support it. Hence why Enterprise is off the air. So, what they did was, they even looked at Straczynski for a while during the time of Enterprise. He went on and told them, this is how you do Star Trek, and his idea was very similar to what they did to Galactica, kind of like a reboot with a more modern edge to it, actually, but it stayed within. His idea was to do Star Trek as Star Trek, but let's not kid around, let's have a little more mature theme, kind of like what they were trying to do with Deep Space Nine, but have a mature series. Do it almost like a drama rather than this little Monster of the Week TV show, which is what the original show was. So, they've got the movie coming out, and what I'm told is it was intentionally designed to appeal to the widest base possible. And if you look at the casting, you have, you know, Carl Urban, New Zealander. You have Gary Sinise to play Dr. McCoy. You have someone for the young people. You have someone from Heroes. You have Simon Pegg, the comedian who brings in that. Tyler Perry is going to be in it. You know, you have something that's appealing to a broad base. Supposedly, it is almost all action. And again, the plan was that this film will appeal to the fans and keep them happy, but people who do not like Star Trek do not watch Star Trek and have no knowledge of Star Trek will be attracted to this film and understand it, because I think they're going for the action point for this one. Now, what I am told is that it is indeed the prequel per se, dealing with young Kirk and Spock and all of that stuff. And of course, I already hear everyone saying, well, hey, he can't do this because he was supposed to do this, and they didn't meet and they didn't do that. Well, apparently Abrams and his folks have poured over the script, and they're very clever, because Abrams is a big fan of Star Trek. A lot of the criticism about the last series was that the producers weren't fans of Trek. One of them even admitted he never watched the original series, so on and so forth. What I am told is that they're being very clever, and they're throwing in all sorts of little subtle things. For example, what I'm told is that one of the events, now I don't know if this made final script, but this was in the early stuff, was that the Guardian from the City on the Edge of Forever is discovered by the Romulans, who go back through time and decide greatest threat to their people, Captain Kirk, we got to take him out. Hence Terminator-esque storyline. Spock, Leonard Nimoy's Spock of the future, finds out about this and deals with Spock of the past, Zachary Quinto. And so the idea behind it is you can have this grand adventure, but you can play with time because the Romulans have goofed it up, but Spock is trying to make things go right. So it's the old, we know everything's gone wrong, that allows them to have the leeway to go way off canon, but somehow they will eventually be able to steer it back in the direction, because the idea is, you know, we're trying to go, we're going from here to here, but we're going to have to go like this to get there now. And that apparently is appeased the Paramount, because they say we are now free to go into bold new directions that we possibly couldn't do, but the fans at least are saying, all right, if you are going to make sure everything is right at the end of it and keep at least some kind of continuity, hence like Star Trek VIII, that wasn't the way First Contact went, but all in all it came out in the end and worked right. That's kind of what they're looking at. One of the problems that they've had with Star Trek is that there's a belief that if you follow the so-called series Bible that Gene Roddenberry wrote, it's very limiting. Because one of his big edicts was that there should be absolutely no conflict amongst humans, because by that time we've evolved past that. Any writer will tell you conflict is an essential part of any drama. That's what they started trying to do with Deep Space Nine. You know, more centrally themed characters, drama. So there are those that say, throw the Bible out, which is kind of what they did with the last few series. We saw how that went. There are others that say, throw the Bible back. This is trying to bring, you know, bring it back to the roots, but yet keep it open for a new generation. So we'll see. You know, supposedly, if it all works, there's 3 films planned. Apparently, all the key actors had signed 3 film contracts on that one. So keep that in mind. We'll get to see that. And what would a summer film season be if they weren't already getting banned as blasphemy? Angels and Demons, the follow-up prequel to Da Vinci Code, has now officially been condemned by the Catholic Church. And all the good Catholics have been told to avoid watching and supporting this film, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, Tom Hanks and company are back, and they are getting ready to film this thing, so we do have that. So, that brings us to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and my other little bit of news today. Now, how many of you know about Shia's little car accident? And they said, oh yeah, Shia's fine, not at fault, not at this. It was confirmed this morning, and they had to put it out. He has a severely crushed hand that required several hours of surgery. He's completely immobilized, and to the point, from about here up, to the point where they may have to write that into the film now, to keep the production schedule and get it out. And I mean, that was the direct quote in the press release, severely crushed hand. By something like that, exactly. So, but that is coming out, so you'll have that to look forward to.